by pretty quick, but there was one up there about using Nemo with ecology, because you can actually have them do a very simplified identification key, and using the names of the characters and saying, what is Dory, and you can do it where, is it she blue, is she green, and so you can do ecology things that way. But most of the things that we've got on there, you can sort of bring it down a level. And if you're struggling, that's what we're here for. Our emails are available on the site, and just shoot us an email and we'll put our heads together and see what we can come up with.
I also have some polyhedral dice games that help kids learn how to add, for example, and you check off boxes. My daughter, when I started making Solution Squad, my daughter was a year old. We just had gotten her from China, and so now she's 10. So I've been working on this a while. So as I realized my audience is older than my daughter, I had said, I got to make some stuff for her too. So I scaled it back a little bit so there would be things for her as well.
Yeah, and also one other thing I'd forgotten in terms of resources of just looking out there and seeing, and it goes back to the earlier question too, pretty much everything now, gosh, I think just about all the major releases, movies and television from DC, Marvel, and even some of the other ones, if they have a science fiction twist or thread in them, somewhere there is a science advisor who may have done a video or a blog post about it. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. has a science advisor. Agent Carter has a science advisor. Thor had, and I forget his name. He's out in California. He wrote about Particle at the End of Time. Doctor Strange has a science advisor, and I forget his name as well.
Does it have a magic advisor too?
No, there's no David Copperfield.
Had to ask.
But the resources are out there if you start looking. And of course all the books, there's science of Doctor Who, there's science of superheroes, supervillains, science of Harry Potter, all kinds of things. Not that you can just take and say and put it in your classroom library and say, there you go, check it out, I don't get it, my kids aren't interested. Take those things, develop a lesson from a sliver. The Kakalios book, Physics of Superheroes, I borrowed and expanded on his explanation of Gwen Stacy's death and the physics of Gwen Stacy's death. He has tons and tons and tons of examples from everything from mechanics all the way through nuclear physics in his book that can be adapted very easily.
And sort of what we want to do is to, not so much have, we want to have material there available for you, but it's more from a professional development standpoint of teaching teachers how to do this. Not so much giving you the stuff and saying, here, it's kind of like with the students, you want to teach them from a STEM aspect, teach you how to do this, and then, that's how you grow, you grow it in the classroom.
I actually started recruiting, I'm sorry, do you want to answer your question? Go
I have
ahead.
a question. Do you have suggestions for adult education for ESL learners?
Yeah, it's more like, that's what my background is in Latino learners. It's almost like we've got too much. It's to sort of narrow it down some and be more specific, but we can talk after.
This is, yeah, because we teach in a Title I school, which is, it used to be 50-50 Black Hispanic students. Now it's actually, we're shifting up towards more Hispanic. So that's something that we're looking at too. I think in some instances you'd be surprised, in some instances you wouldn't be surprised. For instance, with my students, when I look out on my classroom of students, it's mostly Black and Hispanic, young ladies and young men. They have much more in common with the Fast and the Furious than they do with the Avengers or the Justice League, and they will tell you that in a heartbeat, that they're not being, they won't use these words because it's not their terms, but they're not being served by DC or Marvel or Disney or Warner Brothers, if you want to look at corporates. But they will get behind Fast and the Furious and watch that because they're in the Fast and the Furious. They're not in the Avengers, except for maybe token roles here or there. But you'd be surprised as well of just what your students will gravitate towards. Even, I have this insane love in all my classes for Flash on CW. They just love Flash, and usually the day after the episode, we sometimes lose some class time to talk about it.
I don't know if you guys realize or recognize the makeup of my team too. I have 4 girls and 2